DK birds. Patterns in the air. When you see a bird in flight, notice the pattern it makes. Different kinds of birds fly in different ways. Large, heavy birds, such as ducks, flap their wings all the time. Many smaller birds save their energy by gliding between flaps. Some birds hover in the air as they search for prey or feed at flowers. A fulmar's long, narrow wings help it glide. The fulmar soars upward on the rising air currents that form when wind blowing from the sea meets the cliffs. Then it glides slowly down across the sea. It can travel a long way without flapping its wings at all. The kestrel beats its wings forward and spreads its tail feathers to hover. Doing this, it can spot small rodents such as voles or mice on the ground below. Look for kestrels hovering above grass by the roadside or patches of rough grassland. If you spot a mallard flying over open ground, it's probably on its way to a lake or river. Ducks, such as mallards and geese, often fly in a V formation or in straight lines, beating their wings all the time. Meat-eating birds often need to fly long distances in search of a meal. To save energy, they soar or glide on air currents. Many smaller birds do not need to fly so far. Some keep close to hedges and trees where their enemies will not spot them. Eagles and vultures soar on thermals, warm bubbles of rising air, so they don't have to flap their wings as much. In this way, they can keep an eye out on the ground and prey and save energy as well. Soaring birds go wherever the thermals are, over mountains, canyons, and wide open plains. The California condor can glide for hours with its huge wings. Hummingbirds hover in front of flowers as they sip the sweet nectar. The nectar in flowers gives the hummingbirds energy. Hummingbirds live in the Americas, and they're the only birds that can fly sideways, forward, and backwards. They are also the best hoverers of all. They need to hover to feed on the nectar from flowers. This peregrine falcon swoops on other smaller birds in a vertical dive known as a stoop. Spot the skydiver near cliffs or tall buildings in towns. Blue tits and many other small birds have a slightly bounding flight. They flap their wings in short bursts, then rest and glide. This saves energy. Blue tits close their wings in between bursts of flapping. Although this flight pattern is slightly exaggerated, small birds look as if they're bouncing up and down on the end of elastic. Before it can breed, a bird has to find a partner. Courtship is the way of attracting a mate that is of the right age and gender, and most important, of the same type. Usually the mate attracts the female. If she's impressed by his courtship behavior or his bright colors, she will mate with him and lay eggs. Frigate birds spend most of their lives flying high up over the sea. They nest on tropical islands. Each male bird picks a site for the nest, then attracts a mate by blowing up his special pouch. The male has a pouch with stretchy skin on the front of his throat. When the female comes near, he blows up his pouch, rattles his beak against it, and flaps his wings. A frigate bird's wings are wider than the height of a man. The bluebird of paradise attracts a mate by opening its wings and tipping forward until he's hanging upside down by his feet. This bird lives in a tropical rainforest in New Guinea. Many other species in its families also have spectacular courtship displays. These Arctic terns look like they're fighting over a fish, but they are courting. The male offers his partner the fish as a gift. The two birds then fly off together calling. Once the terns have landed, the female must accept the fish from the male one last time. This shows that she's willing to pair up. Many male birds give their partners food when they are courting. This helps to make a bond between the pair. A bird's egg is a living package protected by a hard shell. When it's newly laid, the egg contains just the yolk and the clear part. The parents keep the egg warm by sitting on it or incubating it. The yolk nourishes the growing bird, and after a few weeks, it is ready to hatch. The cassowary is a huge flightless bird. from the tropical forests of New Guinea and Australia. The female lays up to 6 enormous eggs. The American robin lays about 4 blue eggs. The hummingbird's nest has just a room for 2 pea-sized eggs. Their curlew nests on the ground, its speckled eggs are well camouflaged. Many guillemot eggs have spots or streaks. Parents can recognize their own eggs by this unique pattern. If you tap an egg with a spoon, its shell will quickly break. However, imagine how hard the same job is for a baby bird. It has to break the shell from the inside. It has a special egg tooth on the top of its bill so it can chip through the shell. Here you can see how a duckling breaks out. First, the duckling makes a hole. This is the hardest task. Using its beak, it chips away the blunt end of an egg until it makes a hole. Then it rests. Next, the duckling hammers away at the shell. It turns all the time so that way it cuts in a circle. Once the circle is complete, the duckling gives a big heave by trying to straighten its neck. As the crack widens, one of its wings pops out. Suddenly, the blunt end of the egg comes away as the duckling gives a final push. As the duckling falls out of the egg, its wet feathers cling together, making it look bedraggled. Within 2 or 3 hours, the duckling's feathers have dried out and turned fluffy. It cannot fly yet, but it can run around and it's ready for its first swim.